Hello friends, and welcome to the Jazz Ranch, lads and lassies. You know, jazz is America's contribution to world culture. And the great Dave Brubeck, the great pianist and composer, said this. He said, "Jazz stands for freedom. It's supposed to be the voice of freedom. So get out there and improvise and take chances. And don't be a perfectionist. Leave that to the classical musicians." I love that. But you know, as musicians, we're all perfectionists, and maybe you have that, and it can be a pitfall. But I have a special lesson for you tonight. It was based on a request I had from a subscriber to show how to create more rhythm in your playing, especially in your left hand, how to use your left hand to create more rhythm. So I'm going to show you something that's relatively easy to do. It's a 2-beat rhythm, creating bass lines in your left hand. I'm going to use the song Bill Bailey to show you this. Is directly from my book. So here we go now with left hand techniques for Bill Bailey. This is the cover of my book, and a subscriber who bought my book wanted me to play one of the songs that I have written out in here for you. It's called Bill Bailey, and it demonstrates the 2-beat technique in the bass line. So playing bass lines to create more rhythm in your playing, and particularly using the bass line technique of the 2-beat and also the 4-beat. This particular song uses the 2-beat, but within the book you'll see there are all various techniques for bass lines, as well as beginner exercises for learning chords, learning scales, inversions, alterations of chords, and so on and so on, and getting into more advanced and intermediate material which covers improvisation. Beginning improvisation, then more advanced as well. So there's a lot in here within 2 volumes. So we're going to start out now with the arrangement of Bill Bailey. $100 for the 2 and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This shows you in my book the arrangement of Bill Bailey, and I had a subscriber request that I play this and demonstrate it and explain it. And so I'm doing that in a video now. It's kind of a plug for my book, but here you can see there's the arrangement and also the theory and examples which precede it. And then you have the arrangement of Bill Bailey, and most of the songs I have in here have the theory and examples as well. And then you have a 2-beat arrangement of Blue Moon with the bass line written out. Then you have rules about walking bass lines. There's 5 rules there, and then you have examples of a blues bass line on a blues and also bass line on a standard Don't Blame Me. So you get quite a bit of information in here about bass lines in Volume 2. I talk about 3 basic hand techniques. First one is chord in left hand, melody in right hand. So it would sound with Bill Bailey, this song would sound like this. Not much rhythm there, see? The second technique would be the spread voicing. That's where I spread it out now. The harmony is more like this. Has a fuller sound, but there's still no rhythm there. So the third technique really is going to give you rhythm, because now you're going to play a bass line in the left hand, just a single bass note. Now it can have like a chord in there too, but to simplify it for this song and being a 2-beat song and rather, you know, bright in tempo, I'm just going to play on like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll count it in 2 or cut time, like 1, 2, 1, 2. So you have this kind of like a Dixieland type of rhythm, or a polka maybe, but I'm not thinking of it that way anyway. So I'm playing now the melody and adding some harmony in the right hand like this. That takes a little more work for the right hand, and it's a little more difficult. This technique is a little more difficult than the other two, I think, because you have to be able to harmonize the chord below. In other words, put the chord tones below the melody in every case. You don't want any chord tones above the melody. The melody is what you're going to hear if it's on the top. You see? So the left hand now has the role of playing rhythm. So it's like this. And if you're accompanying, say, a singer or a horn player or a band, then you can just do it like this. So I'm playing 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So it's, you know, but in cut time, I'd count it like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and 2, and like that. So if you're counting it, that's what you're doing. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Now these little connecting lines give an interest. You don't want it, this is kind of boring just to play that. But it's always going down to the 5. It could, you know, I could do other things too, but I'm mostly going root and 5th. And then some connecting, like that. And then a connecting note here, taking me up to the G. That's the C7 with the G in the bass. Then connecting here. Now I'm on a C7, but I'm going 5 root, 5 root, instead of root 5. I could go root, I could do it that way, but this is more interesting to mix it up. Like, okay, let's get that. A couple more points about this. You know, you could be playing this like, put a chord in there, but this is going to make it more difficult to do that. That's more like a stride technique, but we could put this, but that's more difficult. I'm trying to simplify this for you to start out now with the simplest way to play this. And also you could play it in octaves if you wanted to. That's more difficult. Like, you can do octaves. You go, that's more difficult. So I'm simplifying this in the easiest way to play this. If you're a beginner or intermediate level, more so, this is maybe in more of an intermediate level, but you want to be able to do this. You want to be able to get rhythm, and you'll also get more rhythm if you put more of an attack on the left hand. Now I'm using 1-5 just because I like that. You could use your second finger here, index finger, go to 5 like that. You might wonder why I'm doing it that way. It's because it's comfortable for me. But this is, that's probably more correct. I just do it this way because it's I'm used to playing that bass note with the pinky so much from doing stride, you know, where you're playing all that kind of thing with the pinky. I just got used to it. But you could play it this way. It's maybe easier. Let's try this. So start out slow, like as slow as you need to, like, you know, or maybe just practice one hand at a time, but like you need to coordinate these. And the metronome will really keep it steady, but you know, it's sort of more difficult to play it with the metronome, you know, particularly at the tempo I was doing it. But like if you could put this on 1 and 3. Whatever's easiest for you. If it's easier to put it on quarter notes, put it on the quarter notes. There it is on the quarter note, you see? This is probably the easiest way to start out learning it. You see how that's... You know, if you're a beginner, let's say not a total beginner, but you're more of an intermediate, beginner intermediate, you probably want to start it this way and then go to half that on the 1 and 3, like... It's not easy to get used to this. It takes a while. And then eventually put it on 2 and 4. That's where it begins to feel more correct, because the drummer would be playing the 2 and 4 rim shot on the around the snare. He'd be playing 2 and 4. He'd be playing it on the hi-hat or whatever. That would give it the right balance of rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. That sounds right. You can't rush. You'll get off. So that's a good beginning, is to practice it in that manner. You know, first time without the metronome, then with the metronome, putting it on quarter notes, and then with the metronome on 1 and 3, and then eventually on 2 and 4 would be the goal. So one step at a time. And much slower to start. Okay. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. I'm glad you joined me. I hope you learned something. Please write to me. I love to hear from you. And always remember that there's a free score for this video on my website. It comes directly from my book, so please check that out. And until next time, I'll say, in the words of my great friend Hermie Dressel, God rest his merry soul, swing loose. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.